Good evening to everyone out there. This is The Mic is Hot. From our studios in Atlanta, Georgia, I am DJ Thomas. We'll be coming to you for the next 30 minutes, and we'll talk about sports in the ATL. So tell a friend to tell a friend that The Mic is hot right now. Today's our subject is the Atlanta Falcons and their victory over the Denver Broncos. Atlanta has been very hot for the last 2 weekends. First Carolina, then Denver. What's next? Seattle? Seattle's coming up. Next ball game. This weekend, this Sunday in Seattle. Okay, it is Monday night here in the ATL. The Falcons just defeated the Denver Broncos in a whomping Mile High Stadium. 23-16. We can't even talk about it. I got KB on the line and Big Time coming up later. We're going to talk about this thing. The mic is hot right now. Tell a friend to tune in right now. KB, you're on.
What's going on, sir?
Hey, man, we just loving it. We sitting there watching these Atlanta Falcons. Your friend, Matt Ryan, and the Falcons. I mean, I think everybody in Atlanta is really surprised to see what the Falcons is doing. Nobody except for Deborah. Come on, laugh with me, but come on.
My wife.
It's only one person I knew that knew this. Because I didn't know it. You didn't know it. You were talking about he was colorblind. But
yeah, he still is.
But your wife said the Atlanta Falcons, before the season even started, would beat Denver, would beat New Orleans, and go to the Super Bowl. Well, that is still yet to we still yet to find out whether that's going to happen. But so far, she's been right. And you make sure you tell her to tune in tomorrow on the Mic is Hot, where she can hear how we give her kudos on her prediction. And I'm following her schedule pretty good now. I got a feeling I might want to call Vegas and drop a few dimes on on some of these teams she's been picking, because these boys are hot right now. Okay, I got my boys online. I got two of the biggest Falcon fans in Atlanta. So what's up, Big Time?
Hey, man, how you doing? Glad to be on the show.
Man, I tell you, we love it, man. I love it when I get Big Times online. Both of you guys love to talk, and both of you guys have a lot to bring to the table. And I said I missed the episode last week, so I said I got to bring it this week. KB and Big Time, all right? KB, we were talking a few minutes ago about nobody knew what was going to happen in this ball game except for one person, and that's KB's wife. And she predicted that the Falcons would win. How many games? How many games was it? 10. No, she had more than that, man. I think she had 2. She missed 2. I think she had 14 games. And she said the Falcons will go to the Super Bowl.
But 2 games that she called.
And right now, nobody knew, but she's on track. She's on track. And if she's right, I've got to buy him and her a dinner, Big Time. So so you can see why I'm kind of hurting on this. But anyway, we're gonna keep it going. Let me jump back last week, because we didn't know the episode last week. Atlanta took on Carolina right here in the Georgia Dome and surprised a lot of people right here in the Georgia Dome, including me, and beat Carolina Panthers. Where's my paper at? I got my scores. I just wrote them down.
It was 40-33.
Beat Carolina 48-33 in the Georgia Dome, which shocked a lot of people. Cam Newton got a concussion and got kicked out of the ball game. Before we jump on Denver, what do you guys want? So let's Big Time, since you just coming on. What do you think about that game last week against Carolina?
Oh, I was ecstatic. You know what I mean? I didn't think they would win the game because of Carolina's defense, but obviously I was very, very happy with the outcome. Atlanta played a very good game, beat a very good team, and surprised me without a doubt, particularly with the score that they finally got. And I, didn't pick them to win that game, but I did say that the Falcons could win 10 games this year. And they followed it up with a great performance this past week.
All right. Well, you keep. I see you and both KB keep throwing in my face. Of course, I picked, and I repeat what I said because I don't bite my tongue. I said the Falcons win 8 ball games, and it'll be 8-8 season for the Falcons this year. Of course, you and KB. What was your prediction again?
I said that Atlanta would beat the Panthers because they're playing in Atlanta. With the fan base being behind them, they would not necessarily dominate, but they will give them a good show.
Uh-huh.
But before I even get into any of that, I do have some. It keeps them kind of irritated or disappointed. I'm disappointed in the NFL because of the simple fact this cat got hurt in the game prior to playing the Falcons, and it took him attempting to get a touchdown and getting hit. Cam Newton. It took him attempting to trying to do a touchdown as a quarterback, and he got hit, and it took him out and put him under the concussion protocol.
Okay.
That should have been done that last game. That is one of my biggest pet peeves with the NFL right now. These players are. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go.
These players are, as Ryan Stewart would say, every time you hike the ball and you make contact, it's like a mini car crash. And I believe that to be true. And for this dude to suffer not one, but 3 helmet-to-helmet hits in the prior game to play in Atlanta, and until social media went ballistic about it, I don't think the NFL would have even addressed it. And then to add insult to injury, the guy played the first 3 quarters in Atlanta and got hit going for a touchdown like he normally does. And they decided then to take him out for concussion protocol. I will give a bad apple to the NFL for that.
Well,
I'm highly disappointed in that.
Let me say this about that hit. That hit. Sometimes I'm not saying it was right the way the guy smacked him. What's the guy? Big time. What's that guy's name? Is it Lewis? What's his name? Lewis, I think it was. New kid came in from LSU.
Dante Jones.
Dante Jones, yeah, came in from LSU. That's what you get. But that's what you get when you get an LSU guy. But you know what happened prior to that? You remember what happened prior to that? Cam Newton threw a first down and threw the ball in the man's face and kind of like egged him on. Now that's not right either, and I don't agree. I'm with you 100% that you shouldn't be hitting players a certain way. But if you go back and look at his hit again, it was a good hit. His head wasn't. He wasn't bent over. He hit him with his face up. And also, when Cam was trying to run to the end zone, he slowed down. Was almost walking to the end zone. So he was like just almost standing still when he got popped. I mean, that's from what I saw. Now, big time. What do you say on that?
Well, let me back up a little bit. I agree with KB for the most part, but with one exception. When he said the NFL, he spoke in a way that the NFL should take a lot of majority of the blame for this guy being where he is. I disagree with that in this way. On each team, there's a doctor on the sideline. And that doctor, as well as that player, as well as the coach, has to make a decision right then to pull him out. And then they go through the protocol that next week, during that next week. Well, I'm not making an excuse or being hard on Cam, but Cam Newton starting last year. He made himself being what he is, beside a talented player, of a guy that be able to run the ball and doing all this dabbing in the end zone and so forth. And then in that first game that they played this year against the Denver Broncos, they beat that guy up so bad that he kept right on playing, kept right on dabbing. What do you expect when you are taking yourself from the position of being a quarterback and placing yourself as being a runner? And when you get your bell rung like he did in that first game of Denver, in the game before Atlanta, and in the Atlanta game, he himself had to go to the NFL, his doctor, as well as the team, and say, hey, I am not feeling the way I should, I am injured, or whatever, or that team has to make that decision. So I slightly disagree with KB from that standpoint. And lastly, not in a negative way, I have no sympathy for him because he put himself in that position again. Same thing Mike Vick did, and maybe it's based on my dislike for quarterbacks who like to run. You have a receiver, you have a running back, you have fullback. These are the guys that's supposed to do that. People get all hyped up and glad to see a quarterback running and doing what he's doing, but that's not his job. His job is to orchestrate the offense, give the ball to who it needs to get to, and win the game, and not being out there running and dabbing and giving the football to fans and doing all this hype in the end zone. When you get your head busted open like what these linebackers and other defenders are going to do, then you somewhat deserve what you get.
Well, and to his defense, with him, with all the fanfare, if you will, giving these balls to the kids, that's part of the game. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, if you were an 8 or 10-year-old kid and the man just scored a touchdown, you got his jersey on, and he hands you the ball. That's a huge deal, man. So I disagree with you on that one. I think that part of the game is cool. What I do not agree with is the NFL finding these guys for celebrating. anybody who ever played football knows that when you work hard and practice hard and you actually get a touchdown like that in front of your mom and dad, that's just one way of saying, hey, I did it. You know what I'm saying? And for them to frown on that, I think it's just crazy.
Well,
let me respond quickly to that. I agree with that, but that's not my point. I don't want to see my $100 million player. I don't want to see Matt Ryan running in the end zone, jumping, putting his head out first.
And Matt ain't gonna do that.
That's not what I want. That's not what I don't want my quarterback to do that. I didn't want Michael Vick to do it because you end up where you are. This team has a great chance of losing this game tonight to an inferior ball club because their guy is not there. And their guy is not there because he spends too much time jumping into the end zone, putting his head first, running the ball too much. You will not survive in this game if you get that ball every time it's hacked to you and you do what Cam Newton has been doing the last 2 to 3 years. And he did it more last year than he ever did it.
I agree with both of you guys, and let me slow down a little bit and make sure I'm clear. I think what I'm understanding is I think KB, the point he's making, first of all, the NFL is being a little tougher, and they're not being tougher in the area they should be. When sometimes when players are celebrating, they should be able to celebrate and whatever, but they're not paying attention to when players. Now, for example, one thing I definitely agree with is the game against Denver. When the first game of the season, he took a lot of licks and a lot of illegal licks, and I think it's a difference between getting hit. You know, it's a certain way you can hit a player. From my understanding, you're supposed to have your head. If you tilt your head over and you go under, then that's illegal. But if you hit him straight on, then that's not considered a legal hit. But like I think what Big Time said earlier, when you take the ball as a quarterback and all of a sudden take it off and run with it like a running back, then you subject to get hit the same as a running back would.
You can get hit the same. When they took that ball into their side, they no longer are protected by, in part, not in whole, by the shield of being a quarterback. They're now deemed as a runner. And they're protecting all guys. The quarterback get a little bit more protection, but you put yourself in that position. And Cam has to change his mindset if he want to stay in this game.
And see, Cam is showboat. He like the showboat.
For not for long.
And a lot of people don't like quarterbacks that showboat and defensive lineman. And like I said, I think the main reason he got hit the way he did because when you go up and showboat, get in somebody's face and you throw your hand up, that's the first down. You can't stop me. Pretty much what you're saying. Then all of a sudden you throw the ball in their face. I mean, this kid, man, he's like, okay, you know what? Okay, bring it back this way. That's why a lot of time in these press conferences, these quarterbacks be careful what they say because when you start bragging about what you're going to do. And in the ball game, you can't bag it up. Yeah. I mean, you get what's coming to you. It's like an unwritten rule for the players in the NFL. They watch social media like we do. They go online. They listen to players at the press conference and after the ball game. And like Matt Ryan, I always say Matt Ryan when he talks, he don't say a whole lot. He always saying we, but he never say I. But hey, that's another story. I'm not gonna talk about your Pro Bowler Matt Ryan right now because he's in third gear. Let's shift this thing over a little bit more and let's try to move it on to this week. And that was a good point you guys made, KB, on that one. So this week, the Atlanta Falcons went to Mile High Stadium, and nobody, like I said before, that I knew of thought that Atlanta would win. I've heard a lot of things, even on talk radio on the gate station we all listen to here locally. They said that they were saying things about what Atlanta would have to do. But, what Atlanta has shown us in the last three weeks ball game, that they are capable of winning a big ball game, and they have the tools to make it happen. Having three or four receivers, having Julio Jones, having two good running backs, not just one. And I think that's a big factor, too, in a lot of ball games that they catch a lot of teams off balance because when you figure out one running back's running a certain way and all of a sudden you got another running back, I mean, I've seen guys on defense just shaking their heads saying, what's going on?
Well, you and I talk often about these games, and we've done over the last couple of years. We make our predictions at the beginning of the season as to how many games we're going to win.
Right.
And then we often, although we're not obligated by virtue of what you and I do, to make predictions too much before each game. Well, I say all that to say this. I'm going to stop making the prediction before the game because I have been wrong so many times. It's not a big thing, but I'm just saying the Falcons have surprised me in the last 2 weeks, and with winning, and particularly with the way their offense have played against two very good defensive teams.
Right. But
we in the past have shown we don't do well. Matt doesn't do well when he gets a lot of pressure on him.
Well, big time. Let me say, might I remind you what you said before? Now, I heard what you said. You're not gonna go ahead. I'm gonna continue to pick game by game because I like the thrill of picking the ball game and trying, because the way I look at it from a coaching standpoint, a former coach. I wasn't coaching the NFL or nothing like that. We had that conversation the other day. But I did coach football, and when I look at it from a different standpoint. I like to see what we can do, what the Falcons can do to win a ball game, and what could cause us to lose a ball game. So therefore, when I watch these guys, man, I definitely want to make sure, like this game, the game we just played, I looked at it, and as you remember, I said there's a lot of things that could keep us from winning this ball game, because Denver had the number one defense in the league. And but at the same time, hold on. Let me finish. One thing that happened, they had the number one defense in the league, and I figured that would be the thing that would break our back. I knew Matt Ryan had the capability of throwing the ball to several people, but one of the things that I said, if he don't have time, like you said a minute ago, if he don't have time, we can't get the ball to those receivers. But somehow or another, he got the ball to him. KB, go ahead and go with your point.
I was saying that I was impressed that the Falcons were able to keep Miller off of Matt Ryan, because, he was the MVP last year for the Super Bowl, and he basically was a nightmare to the quarterback.
Right.
And this year, it has become a great deal of communication with the players. And with that being said, hold on.
You said Von Miller, right? You're talking about Von Miller.
Yeah, Von Miller. With him with Matt Ryan being protected long enough to be able to get out of the pocket and actually throw the ball, that protection was great.
Right.
To a point that you guys were saying, what is making this team look the way it looks? Communication. The coach said it himself. We win as a team, we lose as a team. If we don't protect each other, we don't play with each other, we don't play for each other, then we're going to lose. And a lot of the guys, as we all know, Matt Ryan got a huge contract. Mm-hmm. And when he got that contract, it's like the locker room went in a different direction. The guys stopped blocking for him. They started laying down on him, et cetera.
I wouldn't say that the guys laid down for him. I think it's how everything was brought together. Matt Ryan, he deserves some of that fault as well. I mean, it just wasn't a team effort. And when you're talking about a game, it's a team effort. Everybody's got to be doing their job. And I think right now everything is coming together. If it wasn't for the running game, the passing game wouldn't be what it was. I said before and I said again, if it wasn't for Julio Jones, I don't think we wouldn't have as many receivers just open on the field. I mean, one thing I can say is we have been lucky. We've had some injuries, but minor injuries. But if you look around the league, there's a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of key players are getting hurt. And I'm not saying that it's not going to happen to us. That's why I'm kind of holding strong on my prediction right now, because anything could happen. We're early in the season, and we're just approaching the fifth ball game. So, Big Time, what do you say about that?
Well, I say this. Any NFL game, or most NFL games rather, is won on the offense and defensive line. Whoever controls that area of the game tends to win the game. In the most games, if you do it consistently. The Falcons went out last season and picked up the best center in the game in Alex Mack. They also had another great lineman over there named Jake Matthews, who they drafted a couple of years ago. They got a guy named Webster.
Right.
They have solidified that offensive line now, which is providing the protection for Matt Ryan and the running game. It's not so much what Matt Ryan can do, even though he is the trigger. He's the gunman that pulled the trigger, if you will. Our game, I think, offensively is better this year because we getting the blocking, we getting we creating the hole, and we're running the ball. Mm-hmm. We're able to run the ball. We have a dual backfield that is very, very good. If these guys stay healthy, injuries are part of the game, but the cohesiveness that these guys have right now, and they're able to let Matt Ryan throw that ball and get to the number of targets that he has, I think we can be very successful, particularly if our defense hold up and play very good ball.
Well,
we won't do, I believe, what we did last year because there's like KD said, there's communication going on.
Yeah.
They finally understanding this guy's offensive scheme, meaning Shanahan. And with the blocking
I think Shanahan plays a big part of this whole thing. Shanahan being able to go upstairs, and I think Matt Ryan is starting to understand the offense a lot better because I'm seeing stuff like Matt Ryan is releasing the ball a lot faster. He's not holding it as long. He's not trying to find Julio all the way in and continue to wait for somebody to be open. Now he's realizing if they're not open, go to the next man. Go to the next man. Drop it out to the back of the backfield. Having the parts that he has is also a big thing for him. So, I mean, go ahead, Big Time. I mean, go ahead, KB.
You know, that's true. But what I will say is that everybody's Julio Jones, Julio this, Julio that, yada, yada, yada. Don't get me wrong. Julio Jones
don't talk
is a
about my
great
boy
player.
Julio now. Don't talk about my boy Julio. Big Time, you know, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him.
Let me have it.
I'm going to get him. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me have my opinion. You
go ahead.
Settle down for now. Julio Jones is a good player. I will not deny him that. But if you notice in that Panthers game, they were double coverage on him, and people looked to Julio to be the only person that Matt Ryan would throw to. Matt Ryan chose 4 different players, and each time, each player got points or got yardage. That right there is a team of communication. Atlanta is notoriously known for one-hit wonders. They pick a player, they stick with that player, win, lose, or draw, and that's not good. You got to be able to have more in your arsenal. You need to be able to have more flexibility to use different players.
I agree with that.
Done it. Eli's done it.
I agree with that.
And for years, Atlanta has always, take Jamal Anderson, for instance. When Jamal Anderson was hot, every time you turn around, get the ball to Jamal, get the ball to Jamal. When we went to the Super Bowl, they were waiting on that. As soon as the ball was hiking, they handed it to him, they nailed this play.
Exactly.
Right? Just like the last game that Julio played. Julio couldn't catch a break. They were on his butt so hard and tight.
Well,
but they didn't realize that there were other players in the arsenal that can make things happen. And that, for Matt Ryan as a player, that's where he's grown. Well, Matt Ryan has always been a one-trick pony. He's always stuck with one guy, and that's it. He would never. He would never depend on another player.
Well, let me come on. Well, let me say this. Let me say this about Julio. You talk about my boy Julio, and Big Time know because we've had this conversation over and over and over again. I'll say it now, and I'll say it again. I'll say when the season's over with. Julio don't need Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan needs Julio for this passing game is concerned because Julio been on the field. He draws a double team. He draws a double team. And if Julio's on that field and they spread Julio out wide left and they got 2 guys on the left side of the field, what happened against Carolina is Carolina thought that, look, we don't have to double cover this guy because against New Orleans, they didn't double down Julio. No, I'm sorry, I take it back. They doubled down Julio and all the other receivers was open and Matt was throwing the ball to everybody and you had 8 different receivers caught ball and scored and Julio only got 2 balls. But Carolina figured, well, we don't have to double Julio. And you see what happened when they didn't double him. And same thing almost happened this week. Julio Jones on the field, whether he's catching the ball or not, he is helping the offense. He's making it possible that other receivers are open, and also it helps Matt Ryan. Big Time?
But here's the question. You have, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Here's the problem that you have. If you wear your receiver out, now you have a situation where this man gets hurt, okay? And in the past, when one of our running backs
he was hurt. He was hurt. He had an ankle problem.
Yeah, he has an ankle problem. The point that I'm trying to make
Julio can play hurt.
Don't have. Look, I understand that, okay? But my point is, even though he's hurt, you got other players that you can count on. You understand what I'm saying? One player does not make the team.
I didn't say one player made team. I said him being on the field during the ball game draws a double team. In other words, you got 11 men on the field. If Julio's on the field and 2 people are guarding Julio, guess what? That means somebody's open or Matt Ryan has room to throw the ball. That's the point I'm making. I'm saying that if Julio got a hurt ankle and he's on the field, he's still gonna draw a double team because teams know what damage he can do within 1 or 2 plays.
What did Matt Ryan do last year? Matt Ryan was colorblind. Every time Julio wasn't open, he ended up throwing it to a defensive player, and there was an interception.
Matt Ryan was injured himself.
Let me.
Matt Ryan was happy feet last year. Go ahead, Big Time.
Well, let me say this. Julio Jones remind you, Danny. Julio Jones, as we've had this discussion, he's not the best receiver in the game. He's one of the best.
Julio is the number 1 receiver in the NFL. Look at the stats, man.
Let me finish my point. Julio Jones this year, he is based on the numbers and what the facts have done, but the best player and best receiver in the NFL is Antonio Brown.
And what's their score? What's their record?
And I said it to say this. And I said it to say this. No matter how good a receiver is, he's only as good as the quarterback who get him the ball there. And Matt Ryan is that. And Matt Ryan is that guy that's doing that right now. And let me also remind you, Julio Jones has been in the league, and every year he's been injured. Now, yeah, he can play hurt, still better than a lot of guys while he injured. But we need him at times he wasn't there. But one of the great things that we have this year, we have other targets. And we're going to need these other targets as we're going to continue to win ball games. You can't beat up one guy.
We have had targets for years. Matt Ryan just wouldn't throw the ball. He looked one guy in the whole time.
Matt Ryan has been a top 11 rated quarterback, top 11 quarterback in a league of 32 teams. And for all you guys that don't like him, that's your choice.
Matt Ryan finally sit down and picked up like you said about Roddy White. He finally picked up the book.
It's like I told you before the season started. Matt Ryan will have one of the best years he's ever had as a pro.
I hope Julio don't get hurt. I hope Julio don't get hurt.
The only reason Matt is having the year he's having now is because they changed that offensive line. That offensive line last year.
Any good quarterback gonna have that. Without protection, you're not gonna get a chance to throw the ball.
Exactly. So I mean, you can bring Mike Vick back right now. He'd do well.
No, I don't.
You crazy?
I don't agree on that.
You getting off the line to hold, you can throw the ball.
Well,
Mike Vick gonna utilize, and it's not about him. I'm gonna throw that in. Mike Vick gonna utilize his legs and not his brain. 20% of the game for a quarterback is physical.
Have a line blocking for him.
20% of a quarterback. Physicality is what a quarterback needs. 80% is mentally, and Michael Vick didn't have it.
Well, I mean, last year Matt Ryan didn't have it mentally. Last year, Matt Ryan didn't do it mentally. This year, one thing I'm noticing.
But he got 4,000 yards and 4,000 yards.
Well, that don't mean nothing in a losing effort. It don't mean I don't care how many yards you have in a losing effort. Your team didn't go anywhere. This year's number than lower than what they were last year. Guess what? He'll probably have less numbers this year.
Drew Brees got 4,000 yards last year.
And look what he had.
Yeah,
but it don't matter if you don't make it to the playoffs, or you don't make Super Bowl. All that regular season stuff don't even count, man.
I understand that's your definition, but you cannot say that man had a bad year because his team didn't go nowhere. If it's defined in the league that if you get 4,000 yards as a quarterback, you had a good year, and if you go to the Pro Bowl, you had a good year. He did both in the last 4 years.
He made it to the Pro Bowl by default. Do you remember that?
Oh, get out of here, man! Give me a break, man.
One of the teams in the NFL was playing the Super Bowl. I think it was. I forget what it was, Carolina, whoever it was, and that's how Matt Ryan made the Super Bowl. I'm not taking.
But he was there.
Let me make myself perfectly clear. I'm not taking anything from Matt Ryan this year. Matt Ryan's doing an outstanding job as quarterback. I am proud of him. I'm glad at what he's doing. He's got a lot of targets to throw the ball to. He got good running back. Every quarterback in the NFL would love to have what Matt Ryan has right now. But my thing about Matt Ryan and what Matt Ryan in the past is, Matt Ryan has not been consistent. And Matt Ryan got to show me. I don't care if he played 5 ball games, 6 ball games. By halfway through the season, after this break, if you continue to do the same thing, then I'll take my hat off and on the same station, on the same podcast. I'll say, look, Matt Ryan has totally changed. He's a different person. But until that happened, last year, I might remind both of you guys, last year we had won 5 games in a row. And after that, what happened? We dropped to the bottom. But I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, but I'm just reminding you, don't start popping the champagne bottles right now because we ain't got that yet.
I still hold my point to this. I still hold my point. Matt Ryan is colorblind. I don't care what nobody says. That dude, at any given moment, can throw the football to a defensive end at any given moment. And he's got it in the red zone every time. Every time last year, you could pretty much put money on when we got into the red zone. When we got into the red zone, Matt Ryan threw a daggone pick every time. Now, as far as Carolina, Carolina went undefeated until they met Atlanta. So I say that to say this. It don't matter how good you think you are, someone's better than you. You understand what I'm saying? Carolina came in here with the attitude of, this is the Falcons, we can knock the dust off of them. Turned around and got their ass handed to them. I don't know if I can say that on the radio.
It's a family show, man.
So,
Go ahead,
man. And now Matt Ryan, he is a good quarterback. I will not take that away from him. But Matt Ryan is also predictable, all right? Now, the point that I was trying to make, I use Mike Vick as an example. Not to say that Mike Vick was the greatest player of all time, because Mike Vick was a ball hog, but Mike Vick also didn't have a lot. Every time that ball got hiked, Mike Vick was running for his life. You can go back and pull the tape, right? Am I a Mike Vick fan? Not necessarily.
I think Mike Vick, a lot of time Mike Vick chose to run the ball. Instead of staying in the pocket, you know what Mike Vick's biggest problem was? He was too short, and he couldn't see over the offensive line, so he had no choice but to run the ball.
But think of it this way. Also with Mike Vick, the commentators, they all said, Mike Vick should not be running. The NFL does not need a running quarterback. He needs to stay in the pocket and throw the ball. Now you look 5-6 years later, everybody and their mama's a running quarterback. And now the commentators saying you got to have a running quarterback in order to have a good team. So there was a lot of good, bad, and ugly with Mike Vick. You know, it is, man.
Okay, let me change this tone. We're not talking about Michael Vick. We're talking about the Atlanta Falcons.
We're not talking about
Atlanta
Falcons. Now, with Matt Ryan. Now, if that offensive line continue to hold for him, and that was the point that I was trying to make. The year that Matt Ryan came into the league,
tell me, can it hold? Do you think it would hold? Do you think it'll change after halfway through the season, after the break? Would the Falcons still be the same?
This game coming up against
Seattle.
I'm having a brain fart. Against Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the best defensive lines out here right now.
Well, I thought Denver had the best defensive line.
Hang on.
No, Denver had
they have a good line. But
no, they got the best. They got the best, man.
You're gonna get tested.
Pull my stats up.
The Seattle game coming up. All right.
Well, every game is a test.
That offensive line. That's everything. Every game is a test. But look at the way Seattle's playing. All right. Look at Seattle's quarterback. You see what I'm saying? You're going with two good gunslingers. Matt Ryan's a good gunslinger. So is the kid up there, Russell Wilson.
The kid.
All right. Russell Wilson is better under pressure than Matt Ryan is. All right. Matt Ryan can take a hit, and the next thing you know, this kid is giving away the candy store. You take.
Man.
Hold on. Let Big Time. I gotta hear your reply to it. Big Time.
Roll the tape. Anytime Matt Ryan gets a good lick, that dude gets shell shocked, man. He's like, here, you take it.
My goodness.
I love it, man. That's why I like you guys a minute ago, man.
Pull the tape.
Oh, my. Listen, can I
did he not say give away the candy store?
D, can I say?
Go ahead.
KB and D.
KB.
Everybody, I am never going to argue with a fan who has an opinion about Matt Ryan that is negative or different from mine. And you know why?
I never said I was negative against Matt Ryan. But let me say this. But let me say this. And I'm not defining you based on what you said, but I'm just saying in general to most people I talk to about Matt Ryan. And I don't do it because Matt Ryan over the last 4 or 5 years have not shown that he is needed to do what the Falcons need to do, particularly helping them win. But for as I am concerned, Eddie Mills, big time. Matt Ryan is my MVP. And I will say that until he proves me otherwise.
You said that last year.
And I'm not. Well, last year, I can name several reasons why last year, he had one of the worst years as a quarterback.
But he still was the MVP.
Year. He had a new offensive coordinator. I'm not making excuses for him, guys, but he had a new offensive coordinator. He had a dysfunctional line, and they didn't have a command of this offense. And lastly, one of the things that they did last year, which they're not doing so much this year, don't keep throwing the ball so much. In the NFL, you run the ball. The run set up the play action. And they have two good running backs in that backfield. And if the Atlanta Falcons keep running that ball and keep picking the pockets and using all the receivers that they have, we are going to do much better than we did last year. And it's going to largely be because of number 2. The MVP of the Falcons is Matt Ryan.
One thing you said about just to bring a point to you said rushing yards. The Falcons net rushing was 122 yards and the passing was 250. So they actually did throw the ball more, and I think maybe some of it was screen passes. But that just want to add that point to what you were saying about running the ball. They did run the ball. They had some big runs that really helped in the ball game. So go ahead.
Let me add this on for you, KB. When you look at the Falcons in their best years, and that was when they had Mike Turner. And they were going to the playoff. They were getting their head busted over NFC Championship game. If both of you all remember against Green Bay, the same thing we did against New York Giants, and the same thing we did against the San Francisco 49ers. They were best when they had Mike Turner running that ball. And they were feeding Mike Turner, and he was pounding that big body on people and getting them big yarders. And Matt Ryan was dipping and dumping to Gonzalez. When Turner got hurt, we did not have a running back. We finally got a running back after 3 years. That was a sham to bring Steven Jackson up here, who were broken up, and we knew he was broken up. And when this kid really came into his own last year, Freeman, and made the Pro Bowl, had a good year. Now we got a dual-head running back in this backfield with him and Coleman, and both of these guys, more so Coleman than Freeman, can catch the ball. This team got a chance to make the playoff. I said before the season started, they'll win 10 games, they'll win the South, and if we playing good ball in late December and January, I see us doing big things.
Falcons receiving yards, Coleman, 4 catches for 132 yards. Sanu, 3 for 43 yards. Dante Freeman, he had 3 catches for 35. Jones had 2 for 29. Hooper had 1 for 14, and DeMarco 1 for 13, and Tammy had 1 for 1. So that, like I said, we got a lot of receiving yards.
We got a lot of good. When you got running backs that can drop out of the backfield and catch screen pass and do what Coleman is doing. Dante Freeman got 13 carries for 88 yards yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's close enough to 100. This man got 1,000 yards last year. With a running back get 1,000, that means you utilizing what you have to your strength. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
If you want to compare Matt Ryan to the Drew Breeses and the Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady of the world, he is not in that conversation. He probably never would be. And there are a lot of people, and I can understand they believe that way. You never going to be as good as you are to be the quarterback unless you get a ring. Well, that's what I don't believe. Now, I'm not saying Dan Marino and the black quarterback, all these quarterbacks over the years that I can name that got a lot of yards that never won a Super Bowl, it did not say that they wasn't good quarterbacks. Did not say they wasn't quarterbacks. But I believe if the Falcons stay consistent with running that ball, shore up that defense, and keep protecting this man, I don't see why he...
I'll do that again. Here we go. Are you looking for a photographer to serve all your photographic needs? Well, give Thomas Photography a call. Whether it's a wedding, family reunion, special event, sporting events, and more. For over 25 years, we have been providing top quality service in the state of Georgia. For more information, please call Thomas Photography at 678-900-9840 or email us at thomasphoto11059@yahoo.com. That's 678-900-9840. Give us a call and book your event today. Okay, we coming back, guys. We coming back, and just want to make sure you guys know that that Thomas Photography, that is affiliated with Mike is Hot, and make sure you give us a call at 678-900-9840 and book your event today. For those out there who listen to the show, we don't have any fun, so it's a free podcast, and we do what we do. Big Time and KB. Like I said before we went to the break, this is an opportunity for you guys to kind of give me a wrap up on what you think was going on with the Falcons and how do you think the season is going up until now, and what do you feel for the rest of the season? Big Time. Let's go with KB first.
All right, this is my thing. You like the running game. I like the passing game. Mm-hmm. You can cover a lot of.
Speak up a little bit for me, if you don't mind.
You can cover a lot of yards with the passing game. All right, the running game is good, but the passing game I think is better. Fan base. As long as the fans can stay behind the team instead of being what we all know they are. When the team is winning, they're behind them. When the team is losing, you can give the seats away. All right, your fan base is going to be one of the top reasons your team wins. Quarterback and the team has a big part in it, but that fan base carries a lot of weight. As far as this up-and-coming game coming up, like I said, that defense is incredible. Matt Ryan is going to be tested. If Matt Ryan is who we think he is, this game will show. All right. Am I on the bandwagon to say that Matt Ryan is the one who walks the earth, on water? No, not at this point. Is he a good quarterback? Yes, he is. But that offensive line, as well as that offensive coordinator, this year has shown a lot of improvements. He's got room to grow. And with that being said, I still stick with what I said before. The Falcons will be a contender. But at the end of the day, we shall see.
All right. That's some good thoughts there. Big Time, what do you think?
Well, taking part of what KB said, that is true. That we will have a good year if everything continues to go along as it is. I am reminded, however, that we were 5-0 last year, and our enthusiasm was just the way it is. And you were right in the end that we wind up winning 8 games. Because once teams see that film on you, they start to figure out how to stop you, then you have to know how to make the adjustment and utilize what you have. I don't believe the Falcons will end up as they did last year because they are a better team in many areas, and particularly with understanding the passing game, understanding that they stick to the run, and more importantly, the defense. Defense wins championship, offense wins your game. If the Falcons defense continue to improve and keep them in the game, I think we have enough offense, and we also have a top 10 quarterback behind center. He has always done well. He hasn't done well enough in the last couple of years, but I'll be with him until he proves me otherwise. I'll say this last to Dennis to say this, comparing him to Michael Vick. Michael Vick was a great thing for Atlanta. A lot of people were excited about Michael Vick and were excited with the Falcons at that time. But the best thing that Michael Vick did in 9 years with the Falcons was excite them. He took us to one NFC championship game, and that was it. The dog situation, you know the story. It's not about Mike Vick, but I'm saying comparing what this quarterback and team has going into the new stadium, I believe we are big things. We can do a lot of good, and I believe the real true fans will stay with this team.
All right. Okay. All right. Fantastic. I like you guys made some great comments, and we had a good show today. And but I'm gonna give you my wrap up of this thing. I'm Thomas, and this is what I feel. The Falcons, to me, has made a lot of good improvements. I like what Dan Quinn is doing. I like what Shanahan is doing on the offense. I like the idea he's in the top booth. Matt Ryan looks a lot smoother in the pocket. He looks a lot more comfortable in the pocket. He have a good offensive line to work with. He has good players. They brought in a center, and of course, like Big Time spoke about earlier, we got these offensive tackles to protect our investment. Julio Jones and the receivers in the outfield. I mean, who wouldn't want what we have for a receiving core? And of course, not to mention our 2 running backs in the backfield. But I got to put my butt in there. But what's got to happen is one thing the Falcons haven't been doing on the last 3 to 4 years is we got to start being consistent. We got to be consistent. Well, I said before, and I said earlier when I talked to you guys that I got to bust your bubble. Keep in mind, last week when we played against Carolina, we got within 8 points of losing this ball game. 8 points within them tying the ball game and taking us into overtime until we threw an interception. This last ball game, we got within 7 points. Some things happened. Yeah, it went our way and we won the ball game. But it's not time to pop the champagne bottles. It's not time to do something. We had a team that the starting quarterback was out, and they had a second-team quarterback in. I'm not making excuses for Carolina. I'm not making excuses for us. I'm not making excuses for Denver. And I'm definitely not making an excuse for next week. I am a Falcons fan first. I'm pulling for this team to win, but I'm a realist. I'm going to call it like I see it, and if I see things that need to be corrected, and I think Dan Quinn is doing a good job each week doing what he needs to do to make the correction to get this team where they got to go. We on a roll. We winning. The fans are happy. Let's keep it going. But like I remind you, like I said before, like I said earlier, it was this time last year we won 5 games in a row. I don't care. I know we got a tougher team this year. We're on the road, but we won 5 games in a row, and after that, everything went south. Now, I'm hoping that don't happen this year, but I'm not taking my hat off too soon, and I'm not giving up. But as long as they're doing what they're doing well now, I am saying go Falcons. I'm a Falcons fan, and I hope they go, because if they go to the Super Bowl, I go to the Super Bowl. So I'm pulling for these Falcons, but at the same time, guys, I want you guys to understand it's a long season. I think Big Time, you and I talked about this before, it's not a race, it's a marathon. There's a long ways to go. So let's keep everything in check. And guys, like I always say, but guess what time it is? It's been a powerful show. It's time to cool down the mic. I would like to thank my co-host, Mr. Big Time, Mr. KB, where we believe that everybody's opinion is right and nobody's wrong. Some people disagree with me on that. Your opinion matters here on The Mic is Hot. We want to thank God first. And I always say God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. Guys, I'll see you next time on The Mic is Hot. And it's D, and I'm out.